don't be discouraged by failure. Failure is a way to learn. I know that's a bromide. Everybody says that, but very few of us take it to heart. The most important thing in life is to live it. If it isn't fun, don't do it. How's that? Which means take a hobby and make it a life.
Welcome back to Stories That Move. I'm your host, Matt Duell, and today's episode is a special one for a lot of reasons. Our guest is Jim Grant, a political scientist turned sailing entrepreneur, a pioneer in international study abroad, and the founder of Sailrite, a third-generation family business based in Columbia City, Indiana. What started with custom sail kits has grown into a global brand that continues to innovate today. And Jim has lived many lives: professor, sailor, global traveler, and lifelong learner. His story is filled with curiosity, grit, and a deep love for empowering others to create with their hands. And there's one more thing that makes today's episode extra meaningful. Jim also happens to be Alexis's grandfather-in-law. So this was more than just a great conversation. It was a family moment we were honored to share. Let's get into it and welcome Jim Grant to Stories That Move. All right, we are so excited to be jumping in today. Alexis, I want you to introduce our very special guest.
Yes, on today's episode, we've got Jim Grant. He is my grandfather-in-law. He is a lifelong learner, the founder of Sailrite out in Columbia City, and just one of the most unique men that I have come to know over the years. We are so excited to have him and unpack a little more of his story today.
Jim, thank you for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, such a pleasure. So, Jim, just to start off, we want to back up and hear, some of your story, but for starters, help our listeners understand, what is Sailrite? What do you all do as a company?
Sailrite sells instructions, usually free, but we also sell the supplies that are required in order to implement the projects. And those supplies must be manufactured, and that usually requires a sewing machine. And so Sailrite also produces a sewing machine that is unique in one respect. It functions and it continues to function over a period of years. Most sewing machines sold today, I'm afraid, are unable to meet that criterion. They're lightweight, but not long-lived. How's that?
Yeah.
So
what is the main product, the main project that people would be doing?
I think it started out to be make your own sails.
Okay.
Indeed, that was part of the company's title. Sailrite, make your own sails and win. In fact, over the long haul, it became make your own canvas. It's a lot easier to think in terms of building a Dodger or a Bimini or a sail cover or a bag than it is to think in terms of building a sail. Even though, in my opinion, still, sails are probably one of the easiest projects that one can undertake.
Okay.
Building a Roman shade is a lot harder than making a sail. Understanding how to make that shade fold properly is an engineering feat.
Wow.
Whereas building a sail is essentially a flat object. There's a bit of shape built in, but it's done with half-inch changes in seam widths. And so it's relatively insignificant.
Okay. So you all came up with something, a process, the materials, the instructions to basically help people through kind of a DIY process for sales, and then eventually more products than just that.
Connie, my wife and I, moved to California. I was to be a teacher, and I did teach for 3 years. But in the course of that 3 years, we bought a small 20-foot sailboat, and we started to race it actively. We had done sailing before. I was brought up here in Indiana on Crooked Lake, and we always had sailboats. But sailing on the ocean is a whole different game. and there was much more competition. We would have 25 to 45 boats on the water on a given weekend.
Wow.
And the nationals were coming up. We finished about 8th or 9th in the fleet championships, which was enough to qualify us for the nationals. But we needed better sails, we thought. And I couldn't get them made in time. I went to 4 or 5 sailmakers, and their wait times were always 4 or 5 months. I needed them in 2 or 3 weeks. So we made our own. We had cloth left over from a project that we carried out in Chicago when we were going to school there.
Okay.
And we did pretty well. We ended up 3rd in the nationals. So that's out of some 65 boats,
Wow.
To finish high up was unusual. And as a result of that, I was teaching at the time, but I started writing articles about how those sails were constructed. They appeared in the Cal Tony newsletter, probably a circulation of 400 or 500, maybe not even that. And those eventually became little manuals on building sails.
Wow.
And then you needed to have the fabric and the hardware, and nobody sold it. So in the garage, we started stocking sailcloth. Anyway, that's a short story.
No, I love that. I love that. So you go out to California as a teacher, you're racing sailboats kind of as a hobby, and through all of that, you find this issue of we need better sails. You start to create it, and then it turns into a product for other people. Amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the nature of Jim, really, is he sees a need. He's like, I've got a solution for that. And so, yeah, I mean, if it wasn't clearly said, Sailrite is essentially equipping the DIYers of today, whether that is, avid sailors, or it's, the mom and dad at home who just want to reupholster a chair, whatever it may be. Sailrite is coming alongside of them to equip them, whether it's the tools, the instructions, inspiration, and so forth, to get that project started.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so Jim, let's back up a moment and let's just hear, where are you originally from? And just tell us a little bit about life for you growing up.
I'm from Columbia City, and I was brought up on Crooked Lake, just north of Columbia City, about 9 miles north of Columbia City. My father was a dentist. He was quite a man. He was willing to do things that most fathers, unfortunately, are not willing to do. For example, I remember my first boat race, power boats this time, in Detroit, my first marathon. My uncle went with us. We camped out. When my uncle returned, by the way, I capsized in the race and did not finish the race. but
It's okay.
When we returned home, my uncle's one comment was, there has never been a father like Lowell. He permitted that activity. It was not fun for older people to camp in a tent.
Sure.
And we did it over and over and over again. We went all across the United States.
Wow.
At one point, I held the record for Class B utility, 53 miles per hour. Within 2 hours, someone went 54. Didn't do any good.
Wow.
But it was still something I claimed to
A
this
record
day.
that you got. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As you should. Where did that passion for boat racing come from?
It's hard to say. I suspect it was more a matter of having grown up on the water.
Sure. Yeah.
We always had boats. Dad loved to refinish boats. I remember we bought a Lightning, which is a sailboat, about 20 feet long, 19 feet long. And Dad proceeded to work on it all one winter. It turned out to be about twice as heavy as it should be when we were done. Beautiful, but not very good as a sailing boat. It was water logged. It was heavy. But that's fun. You learn that sort of thing over time in a family, and it matters.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so it sounds like, the love for sailing was instilled, again, by your father. That was a family thing that you did. But eventually, you kind of said your dad permitted a lot of things that were unusual. And so not just sailing, but even going into your teenage years, I think you had an internship in D.C. You were one of the first 20 to do a world tour. Tell us more about what led up to those opportunities. Was it your parents? Was it academics?
We started a company. My brother and I, my brother is John, he's a doctor now, and we started a company fixing outboard motors. And Dad was very supportive of that. We put a big 200-gallon tank on the pier so that we could sell gasoline to people on Crooked Lake.
Wow.
And opened up the garage so we could work on outboard motors.
Yeah.
And John put himself in part through school by working as a mechanic during the summer.
Okay.
He became quite a good mechanic. I didn't quite achieve that, but I did learn a lot. And
About how old were you guys during this season?
We would have been, when I started racing, I was 16. That was the youngest you could race a B utility.
Yeah.
My brother was 12, and he could race an A utility, which is a little smaller. A 10-horse engine instead of a 20-horse engine.
Wow.
And so we both raced right from the beginning, from 12 in his case and 14 in my case.
Yeah.
And we raced until about age 16, and then we went to college. I'm sorry, until 18 for me, 16 for him.
Sure.
And we went to college, and we couldn't race anymore. I miss that.
Yeah. But obviously early entrepreneurial spirit to be fixing motors and selling gas.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Where does that entrepreneurial spirit come from?
It's probably something everybody has. And I suspect circumstances are more important than innate ability. And circumstances depend a lot on luck. Interesting. That's Machiavelli tried to eliminate the effect of fortune, but I think as fortune is very important. Chance is a significant importance.
It's the right place, the right time.
Yes.
Taking advantage of that situation that was in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which may mean that we're not in control of our destiny. Interesting. Okay, well, I studied political philosophy.
Okay.
And I still consider myself a student of philosophy.
Like Alexis mentioned, you were one of the first American students to study abroad with the International School of America in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Carl Yeager, a young man who was the son of an industrialist in Ohio, very wealthy because of his father, decided that he would devote himself to improving the quality of youth in the United States. And he thought the best way to do it was with a program that exposed us all to the world. And you've got to give the guy credit. To organize a trip like that, he did it several times. Probably, and I should know better, but I think he did it 3 times. My brother went the second year, so we were participants in 2 of those 3 efforts. It was a wonderful experience. Unfortunately, I failed to assimilate most of what he thought I should. As a young man, it's awfully easy to ignore the most important things around you. And I was guilty. So probably is almost everybody. But it was an opportunity that nevertheless was very important, even though I might not have made the best use of it.
Sure. Sure. What do you remember about that experience? Highlight or something that really stood out to you?
Well, my first paper, I think we were in New York at the time. The English teacher, there were 5 teachers. The English teacher, who was a professor from Ohio State, asked us to write a paper about what we intended to do when we returned to the United States. I told her I intended to get married to my high school sweetheart, and I did. But she said in her response to my paper, an F, the first time I'd ever received an F, and she said it was rather superficial. My response was, you only gave me a half an hour. How do you expect it not to be superficial? It was superficial. And yet it was true, too. I married my high school sweetheart immediately upon returning to the United States.
Wow. Wow.
But I think even with that, it was, I think, an 8-month tour or so, right?
Yeah.
But knowing that you did want to get married, I mean, I've heard stories from Grandma Connie and even other family members of just how you'd lather her in gifts. So you'd go to China, you'd get her a dress from there. You'd go to India, you'd find some spices. And so, just large scale. I mean, it's so easy to travel nowadays, right? You just book your ticket on an app of some sort and you can go. But in the 50s, this is a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah. I have a certificate that says from Pan Am, which went bankrupt within 2 years after I left. But the certificate was, you are one of the few who have traveled around the world on Pan Am.
Wow.
And it was quite an opportunity. And we got to see people who my grandchildren don't know anything about. Nehru. I have a signature from Eleanor Roosevelt.
Wow.
Other people that you wouldn't even recognize the names, but they were very important people. And we were, I think, properly influenced by our short visits with them. I hope we were anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Do you remember meeting Eleanor Roosevelt?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that. That's amazing.
Well, it's the same way with the Pope. I met the Pope, but
Casual fact.
what does
Didn't
it
know
mean
that.
to meet someone? I stood within 5 feet of both of them, and yet I really didn't meet them. But I was influenced by them. That's what matters more than anything.
Sure.
I was impressed, and it's important to be impressed. I think young kids today, here I go again, I'm spouting off, but young kids today should be more impressed. They're too likely to think I am my own person, and it doesn't matter what other people think of me. It's very important what other people think of you. And so my muteness, in a way, was my recognition that I had a lot to learn from them. And rather than spouting off on my own, I was better off just listening.
Just listening. Yeah.
How's that for self-justification?
I'll take it. I'll take it. So as you think back on those experiences, and again, you were influenced by those people, by that experience, what would you say, what was the lasting mark for you? Like, how did that then apply to your life, to your future business, all of those things?
Well, I suspect more than anything, it gave me confidence.
Yeah.
I felt as though I had a leg up.
Yeah.
And that's important. It's. I can speak now to my daughter-in-law. It's important that her children feel that they are able. That's the way to put it, I guess. It's important to approach a problem with some confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember in class at IU, I was in a class with H.J. Muller, who there are 2 Mullers at IU. One was a Nobel Prize winner. He was the chemist, and the other was an historian. And I was in the historian's class. He was talking about magic and why it occurred so often in ancient societies. He said, how could that be? What causes it? And I raised my hand and I said, I think it gives people some control over their environment. If they think they can wave a wand and make something happen, it makes them feel more confident. And thus it's a good thing. It stabilizes the environment. And I credit that sort of insight to my experience with the International School of America.
Love it.
Leg up. All right. I'll tell my kids that. Okay. Well, I didn't know you met the Pope, so that's kind of a big deal. So who else on the list have you met that I don't know of in that tour?
Oh, on that tour?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people you wouldn't recognize.
Right.
Emerson Burkhart was our artist, our resident artist. He was actually a pretty good artist, and he was from Ohio, and you can look him up on the internet. He was a modern artist. He not in the sense that he painted triangles and rectangles and so forth. He was modern in the impressionist sense, I guess you'd say, although he didn't use dots either. But he was quite a character. I remember he took me, along with two of the other students, Joe Ford and John Patterson, to a White Sox game. And I got to see Ted Musial play his last game, or one of his last games. He was at the plate twice, and they walked him both times. So I didn't get to see any action. But it was still, nevertheless, an important
Still a thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
cool. So cool. So what was it that then led you to study political science and philosophy and those sort of things?
I was always interested in what is right, ethics. And ethics now are not thought very much of in modern universities. It was hard to get any training in that sort of thing at IU. At least it was hard for me. One of my friends at IU recommended that I go to the University of Chicago to study under Leo Strauss, and I did. It was a wise move. I benefited, I think, a lot from Dr. Strauss, Mr. Strauss.
So you did actually teach there for a while, right? Or
I taught,
did you
but
attend there?
not at the university itself.
Okay.
I taught at IU PU in Gary,
Okay.
Indiana.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So nearby.
And then I went from there to Claremont Men's College, which is a very conservative school, very Straussian.
Okay.
And worked with Martin Diamond and Harry Jaffa, two excellent Straussian students. Just had a ball. But I didn't really consider myself a very good teacher. And as I bought a boat and started sailing.
Yep.
Wow.
But even with that, so not only did you buy a boat, but you guys lived in a boat in Chicago, right?
In Chicago, we bought a 32-foot boat for $600. You can imagine what shape it was in. And the $600 didn't go to the owner of the boat. It went to the yard. They'd accumulated that much in back
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
rental fees.
Sure. Yeah.
And we worked on that boat, Connie and I, for an entire winter instead of studying. I didn't study as much as I should have, but we had fun. And we sailed it the next year. And then the year following that, Connie was pregnant, and she ended up having the baby while we were living on the boat.
Wow.
We had subletted our apartment, so we had to live on the boat. And it's quite an experience to raise a child on a boat. When you think of a boat, you think, I've got a dock, I walk down to the dock and step onto the boat. No, we had a boat moored into Grant Park Harbor about 400 feet from shore. And the only transportation out there was a kayak that I made out of a piece of styrofoam.
No.
And we had to row out to the boat. It was fun.
Wow.
It was quite an experience. We didn't sail very much. We had a good time though. That didn't have sails, and that's where the first sails came from.
Yes.
I had to make sails. I didn't have money to buy sails, and so we made sails, and we raced that boat rather successfully. It wasn't super, but we had a lot of fun racing that boat on Lake Michigan.
Wow. And okay, and I don't want to miss this point. You said you were refurbishing this boat during the winter
Yeah,
in Chicago.
yeah. Connie had the baby
In
in
December.
a basket on the boat while she would be scraping down the hull or sanding or.
This is my father-in-law.
Yeah, I have pictures of it. I can prove it.
Wow.
And I think,
So
too-
Connie's an amazing woman. We've just established that. Like, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
The visual here, though, so he did mention, the little styrofoam kayak, is that he would take that kayak to shore, right, for classes or work or whatnot. But
Yeah.
he'd leave his wife on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
She's super pregnant. And so all these other sailors around them would have this concern of like, who is your husband? Why is he leaving you here? Or like, she would tell stories of like, hey, I'm here. Come get me. Like stranded pregnant woman on the sailboat that's not functional. So anyway, yes, she's an amazing woman. But I'll let you guys continue.
We used Grant Park Harbor is about 10 miles from the University of Chicago.
Okay.
And to get back and forth, I used a Lambretta scooter, a small one, 125 cc, and the scooter was constantly being stolen. but it only went 35 miles an hour.
Right.
And so I suspect that every time they'd steal it, they'd find this thing doesn't go.
This is too slow.
And so they'd park it. And the police would find it, and I'd get
You'd
it back.
get back. Wow.
Yeah. But
Wow.
those were years that probably had a formative
Absolutely.
tendency. You can't reproduce that though.
No. No.
It's all spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure living through that, there was a sense of you could almost feel like you could do anything at that
Yes.
point.
Well, you're right. Nothing was ever going to go wrong, and nothing did, fortunately. But
Yeah.
could have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So at some point, you pull up anchor, you head out to California
To teach.
to teach, but you're still sailing.
Well, I wanted to sail. We sold the boat.
Okay.
And that, as a matter of fact, that $5,000 was the down payment on our first house in California.
Okay.
When we got to California, my first concern was to start teaching. My second concern was to buy a boat, and we did. So I guess the order of precedence
Jeez.
indicates where I was at that point.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
But really, okay, so that is, humble beginnings there, the birth of Sailrite. I mean, I've heard stories, even just from other family members, of your parents and even other people thought you guys were crazy to move out that way a little bit and start the business.
Yeah, except you've got to give my parents credit. They
Yeah.
invested $5,000, which was a lot of money for us at that point.
Yeah.
And the idea was that I would return the money. I never did. I never did. And that I feel guilty for that, even to this day. I did take care of my mother, but it wasn't a direct payment by any means. Anyway,
Okay.
family obligations are important. And I wish I had done better. But back to Sailrite. No, we would take, if we sold $50 on a given day, that was a big day. And the fact that I was teaching meant that it didn't matter that much. But my teaching only lasted for 4 years, and Sailrite was far from well underway by that point. We were still very
Poor.
unable
Yeah.
to survive
better
without
word.
a lot of effort.
Yeah. Yeah. So then talk us through what was that effort, and what was it the thing that really created Sailrite to be more sustainable for you?
Well, we bought we didn't buy. We rented a store in Marina Del Rey,
Okay.
and it turned out pretty well. I think I spent a lot of time without ever seeing a customer come through the door, but nevertheless, it was a profitable enterprise. And the Cal 20 fleet was very good. They supported me by buying sales and kits. And that group was a significant factor in the survival of Sailrite, really.
So at that point, is Sailrite you and Connie? Did you have employees? Were you starting to grow?
Oh, we had some employees, nothing significant. To tell you the truth, Sailrite was really not successful until my son and another daughter-in-law, not Alexis, because Alexis didn't exist at this point. But
okay.
when Matt and Hallie took over, that's when Sailrite really began to thrive.
Okay.
Indeed, when they did take over, I was deeply involved in the computer business. I was selling Wang computers and servicing a grain elevator, writing software for them, and Fox Products, a bassoon and oboe manufacturer in South Whitley. I was writing software for them, and also a third company, Viking. They make muffler hangers in Columbia City. Those three companies were really my business. That was the heart of my income
Yeah.
the first few years until Matt and Hallie took over Sailrite, and they devoted proper attention to it, made it work.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, I guess, is that I don't deserve any praise
Well.
for Sailrite's existence, except for the fact that I started it. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Well, that definitely takes something for sure.
bit of something.
So what was the thing that brought you from California back to Columbia City?
Well, I wanted to bring my kids up in a rural environment.
Sure.
We came back to a farm. I bought a farm in just outside of Columbia City, south of Columbia City, and beautiful house, beautiful barn. I put the business in the barn, even though we couldn't heat it. It was tough running that mail order business out of a barn without heat.
Wow.
And some of the cloth I'm sure I sent was rather soiled by its exposure to the elements in the barn.
Yes.
But it was fun, and we made that barn watertight eventually, and started a printing operation in the basement of the barn. I used the printing to support Sailrite. We printed all the manuals and all the catalogs and other
Sure.
incidental things. We had one of the first typesetters that wasn't lineograph. In other words, it was a computer-driven typesetter, an edit writer.
Okay.
And we were advanced in that respect, I guess, mostly because we were just getting started and had no choice but to buy the latest. That was
Wow.
what was available.
Wow.
Huh.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
I've been a sailmaker, a printer. We had a newspaper for a while. I started a school of sailmaking. So I've been in the business of teaching over the mail.
Wow.
So I've done a lot, but I've had fun all the way along.
And now in your retirement, you're doing programming still for the company, yeah?
Yeah, I'm telling people, I'm trying to make it possible for people to more easily build things out of fabric.
Wow.
I call it fabrication.
Yeah.
let's fabricate.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, Jim, it's amazing, and I'm so grateful for you to come and share your story with us. And what strikes me is, as you said at the beginning, you believe very much in right place at the right time. And in your life, what you've described to us is somebody who grabbed a hold of every opportunity and just squeezed the most out of it that you could. And in that, you created an amazing business. You've had a wonderful family that's grown and carried on that business. We have a lot of young business leaders, entrepreneurs who listen to our show. And as I told you, we're just 4 years old here. What would you say to the young business owners, the young entrepreneurs in that startup mode? What would your advice be to them? Your encouragement be to them?
Don't be discouraged by failure. Failure is a way to learn. I know that's a bromide. Everybody says that, but very few of us take it to heart. The most important thing in life is to live it. One more bromide.
It's okay.
If it isn't fun, don't do it. How's that? Which means take a hobby and make it a life.
Wow.
It's not hard to do.
Wow.
I love that. And I even love, if it's not fun, don't do it. I mean, that's kind of the theme of what I've seen in you, right? From your world adventures to Sailrite to even retirement, you've chosen to make it fun, right? Even when, someone steals your scooter. Or I don't think we talked about this earlier, but when you were doing a tour in Europe with Connie alongside of you, you guys had this Mercedes-Benz that your dad tasked you with, and that was stolen.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a different story. But
No.
No, but tell us that. I mean, you got to hear it now.
That's a good story. I had a Ford Foundation fellowship. I was to write a paper on French colonial disaster. They lost Morocco, they lost Tunisia, and I was to spend the summer doing it. And we went to Paris, and I spent most of my time in the bibliothèque, the library, the National Library. Spoke lousy French, still do. I don't speak any French anymore. The thing that Connie and I enjoyed the most was every 4 or 5 days we'd go to a 5-star restaurant, and the French know how to cook. You've got to give them credit for that.
if anything.
The rest of the time we'd eat eggs and tomatoes were my favorite. They on a street corner. We had very good breakfasts that way. I still like eggs and tomatoes. Next time, Alexis, you can make me eggs and tomatoes for breakfast.
Sure. Noted. Write that down for tomorrow.
But anyway, Dad wanted a Mercedes diesel.
Okay.
And he found that he could pay less in duties if he bought a used one. And so we went over to pick up the diesel at the factory. The same day or very soon after picking it up at the factory, I parked it and didn't know anything about street signs in Germany. Evidently, I parked it in a no parking zone.
Okay.
We went to the hotel, and I went down to check on the car, and it was gone. And I told Connie I'll have to find it. I don't know what happened to it. And I went to the police station, and it took me forever. But I finally returned with the vehicle. Everything was fine. I walked into the room and I thought, well, I'll play a joke on Connie. I'll tell her that the police made me an offer. I could either give them a large sum of money, or I could stay in jail overnight. And she responded, well, why are you here?
Oh, gosh.
That's so good.
That is their personality. in a
Very. I love
nutshell.
it. I love it. Yes.
So,
Okay, so as we wrap up our time here, tell us about for you, again, those early days of Sailrite, working out of, your garage, eventually to a barn, now seeing it thrive as a multi-million-dollar third generation company. What does that mean to you?
It's frightening. It really is. I can't understand how they can survive. Things like tariffs are threatening.
Sure.
Competitors are threatening. It's tough to live in this environment. I really respect the work that these young people are doing. I'm sure you're in the same boat, Matt. Everybody's struggling. It's harder now, I think, than it was when I was involved. The work environment is more threatening, I believe, than it was. So I'm respectful. You're doing a good job. Keep it up.
But
good.
I mean, to the point you said earlier, even if all else fails, there is hope at the end of the day. Keep leaning in, keep staying curious, right? Keep pushing forward. Sailrite's not leaving anytime soon, but there's always ways to innovate, right?
Always. You have to worry about keeping up. Everything is a challenge. And that's good. That keeps us on our toes. We need to be kept on our toes.
Yeah.
It's too easy to become complacent. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. But I have a feeling you're probably someone who really soaks in the process and the journey more than the finished product.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Matt. Is it more important to focus on the goal, or is it more important to focus on the means to get to the goal? I'm not sure that I know the answer to that. I'm not sure there is an answer to that. You have to focus on all of it. Yeah.
Sure. But from what I've heard from your life, it certainly sounds like you've soaked up quite a bit in the experience, which is amazing. It's amazing. Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much for your generosity to just come and spend time with us today. This has been just so much fun to hear your stories and to get to know you and know that, yes, you have created an incredible business that continues on through your family. So thank you. Really appreciate you coming today.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. And to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us for another episode of Stories That Move. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Stories That Move, brought to you by Dream On Studios.
Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. And remember, if you or your organization have a story you're eager to share with the world, Dream On Studios is here to bring that story to life.
Don't hesitate to reach out. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or visit our website at dreamonstudios.io. We understand how overwhelming it can be trying to bring your vision and story to life, but that's why we exist. And we've walked alongside hundreds of clients doing that very thing.
Yeah. We believe every story has the potential to inspire, to move, and to make a difference. Let's make yours heard.
Until next time, keep moving forward and keep telling those stories that matter.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on Stories That Move.